We talked about the players, we talked about the stakeholders, we talked about the politics. Now let's talk about the beneficiaries. I know it sounds like a paradox. This is after all a war, so who can possibly benefit? Well, the defense industry. Wars can lead to an increase in defense spending. The more prolonged and intense the conflict, the greater the demand for weapons, and it is obvious. A government that is fighting a war will obviously spend more money. So nations invest heavily in technology, in weaponry, and in infrastructure. And this heightened demand helps defense companies across the globe. It causes their stocks to rally. Take US defense stocks, for example. They've added some $23 billion in market value since the war began. On Monday, Northrop Grumman soared by 12%. General Dynamics jumped by some 9%. Lockheed Martin gained 8%. And RTX rallied 4%. And this is only expected to grow in the days ahead. Take Lockheed Martin, for example. This company makes the F-35 fighter jets. They're used by the Israeli military. They also make Black Hawk helicopters. Northrop Grumman makes combat vehicles. All of these are weapons that Israel uses, and all of these are weapons that Israel is going to need in the near future. The US will be sending more weapons to Israel in the coming days, so the stocks of these companies are expected to rally. And this won't be the first time that this is happening. Last year, too, defense stocks got a huge boost. That was when Russia invaded Ukraine. As of today, the US has spent more than $40 billion in military aid to Ukraine. So the biggest beneficiary is the American defense sector. And that is likely to be the case in this war as well. This is one of the harshest realities of war, whether we like it or not. For some people, wars cost lives. For others, they drive value. For defense companies, wars act as economic stimulus. They bolster sales, they fuel job creation, and sometimes they also boost local economies. Now, of course, this does raise some moral and ethical questions like, is this profiting from human suffering? More importantly, is this motivation to prolong a conflict? Plus, there is the investor dilemma. Defense stocks are often called sin stocks or warmonger investments. But the label here does not really matter. These stocks surge massively when a war breaks out. And that makes them very attractive for investors. Currently, the world is dealing with two wars, the Ukraine war and now the one that's being fought here, the Israel-Hamas war. Defense spending has already been on the rise this year. Europe has ramped up military spending. It is the highest the continent is spending since the Cold War on weapons. Asian nations have also bumped spending. Defense budgets of countries like Japan and South Korea grew by 7% in 2022. India's defense budget was $81.4 billion in 2022. This is a jump of 6% from the previous year. Currently, global military spending is at $2.24 trillion, which is 2.2% of the world's GDP. Chances are it will only rise in the days ahead.